Welcome to FLW Southeast Instrument Talk. Today's topic is total organic carbon, or TOC, in pharmaceutical and biopharmaceutical waters. I'm Robert Walden with FLW Southeast, and with me is Doug Brees with Mettler Toledo Process Analytics. Doug, thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Absolutely, and thanks for having me, Rob. I started my career as a research scientist in the pharmaceutical industry. I have a PhD in cell biology. I transitioned to Mettler Toledo Process Analytics a little bit over 20 years ago. Where I am now is in the Process Analytics division of Mettler Toledo. We specialize in an engineered solution providing real-time continuous inline measurements for monitoring and control of liquid analytics as well as gas analytics. Maybe some examples are continuous measurement of conductivity. TOC is an example that we'll talk about. pH, dissolved oxygen.
Thank you, Doug. Let's get started. In the past year, we've seen some increases in installations for TOC measurements on water systems. A significant driving force has been the growth of the industry, but also from existing TOC systems approaching end of life or just being obsoleted. My first question is, can you review the technique used by Mettler Toledo to measure TOC and how it is different from other manufacturers?
Absolutely. So, in the US, we see really two suppliers, including ourselves, three, but we see two suppliers of TOC determination. And I say determination because it's an inferred measurement. And TOC, meaning total organic carbon, it's not designed for speciating, it's giving you the total. So if you look at the three of us, right, so the common denominator is that all three of us suppliers use the same differential conductivity with UV oxidation. We all actually have the same, we all meet the same pharmacopoeias on the planet. Sometimes that's a question. And all three of us actually make a pretty good TOC measurement. So, where do we differ, right? So the main difference is that Mettler Toledo is the only supplier to provide a real-time continuous measurement, period. So historically, if you look back in the 80s, 90s, the measurement was exclusively a grab sample, right? The other two suppliers, interestingly enough, are essentially still providing a grab sample. They just do it more frequently. In one instance, the one supplier provides 4 measurements in an hour. The other one does 10 measurements in an hour. We all basically pull a sample from flow, from the main line, flowing it to the drain. The distinction is that the competition needs to hold and condition the sample before making that measurement. And that's why they refer to theirs as being an analyzer, because sometimes that's a big question, analyzer versus sensor. Mettler Toledo literally measures every single milliliter that flows through the quartz coil, reports a newly measured value every second and continuously. That's why we call ours a sensor. So that's the main difference.
Well, we see a lot of companies also with sustainability goals lately and place significant value on reducing water usage and energy. Can Mettler Toledo aid in company goals with their TOC?
Absolutely. It's actually a big point for Mettler Toledo as well as providing, meeting the needs for these companies that have sustainability goals. I mean, Mettler Toledo has the same goals within our company. When it comes to earlier designs, we used to use a lot more water, and knowing that water consumption is pretty critical for pretty much anybody on the planet. The current Mettler Toledo model of TOC is the 6000 TOCi. It has a flow rate of 8.5 mils per minute. So if you think about that, that translates to 12 liters per day or 84 liters per week. So again, 84 liters a week. This is in comparison to the other suppliers that have a significantly higher sample flow rate. In some cases, it's 500 to 600 liters per week that's going down the drain. Reminder, 84 liters on our sensor versus 500, 600 liters on these other analyzers. So keep in mind that the batch measurement, it's grabbing a sample, it uses valves that now shunt that flow to drain, so that technically only a small portion or small volume of that sample is being measured and the rest of it's just continuously flowing to the drain. So the TOC that we have, the 6000 TOC, measures all of it. So here, here's an example, because that may not be as clear. So an example would be if you take a simple water system, making up an example here. If you're making 1,000 liters of WFI water, WFI, so you're making up 1,000 liters in a day, which is not unheard of. It probably is more. So now you have a storage tank that's holding 1,000 liters. So technically, these two batch analyzers have interrogated less than 5% of that total volume. So in this example, that's saying that they're measuring less than 50 liters of that 1,000-liter volume were technically interrogated by their TOC sensor. And that may be a paradigm shift for some people to think about. Now, conversely, Mettler Toledo has a representation of 100% due to the nature of the sensor and the way it's measuring. So if you think about risk assessment, risk management, every company is assessing their risk because they have an at-line TOC sensor. We're all doing it the same. But the customers using batch measurement systems technically are really only managing less than 5% of their risk, which is pretty compelling.
Wow, that is. So why would someone consider Mettler Toledo for their TOC measurements?
Thank you. Great question. It's simple. It's three facts. Literally, I'd say, number one, we're the only continuous real-time TOC measurement. And hopefully I kind of clarified the differences there. Number two, the lowest water usage. What does that mean to somebody? It means, hey, a lot. It means you're reducing your water consumption, so you're lowering your cost, better impact on the environment, lower water waste going to the drain because there's money spent on wastewater. And then the third one, which I would put actually is the most important, is that Mettler Toledo is the global pharma compliance leader. We have people in the company that sit on the USP committee, so we understand the directions that the industry is going, and so we can meet those needs. We are the only supplier today to offer 4 of the 5 required measurements, one of them being conductivity, TOC's in there. We also make ozone measurements, and we're one of the few that can make the continuous measurement for bioburden measurement. All of these are real-time and continuous, and that's what really separates us from everybody else.
Wow, those are actually really compelling points. Doug, that's all the time we have today, so thank you for joining us today. For more information on Mettler Toledo TOC sensors or other process solutions, contact FLW Southeast to schedule a meeting or an on-site audit from the below links. Thank you again for watching.
Thanks, Rob.